Harley-Davidson built its name on power, pride, and freedom. But behind the factory doors, another story is unfolding. Years of chasing image over engineering have produced 7 bikes that every real rider should think twice about. Machines that look like legends, yet ride like regrets. Dealers know it, mechanics whisper it, and former insiders are finally saying it out loud. This isn't about hate, it's about truth. These 7 models reveal exactly how the motor company lost touch with the road that made it famous. Stick around till the end. The final bike will shock even the most loyal Harley rider. Number 7, Harley-Davidson Road King Special. For decades, this machine stood as a symbol of American prestige on 2 wheels. The long chrome forks, the heavy stance, the timeless silhouette. It was everything a touring rider could want in the open wind. But in 2025, even icons show their cracks. The Road King Special, once the face of Harley pride, is now proof that tradition alone cannot carry the weight of modern expectations. The Road King. Special still draws eyes in the showroom, but the moment you take it off the stand, that beauty becomes a burden. It is heavy in every sense, heavy to steer, heavy on the arms, and heavy on the wallet. The ride remains smooth on the highway, yet in tight traffic or slow turns, its weight makes it feel more like a challenge than an escape. Riders used to brag about mastering it. Now many admit it wears them down. Harley built it to deliver raw presence, but somewhere between nostalgia and necessity, it forgot to evolve. The heart of the problem lies in its purpose. Touring riders want comfort for long hours on the road. The Road King Special promises that luxury look, but offers little of the convenience modern touring bikes deliver. No wind protection, no fairing, and minimal infotainment leave you exposed when the miles stretch out. On paper, it is stripped down for style. In practice, it is stripped of practicality. The older generation of riders, the ones who once filled the highways with chrome and faith, now see this machine as a statement of the past rather than the future. Some still buy it for its reputation, hoping to relive that old Harley rhythm. But on the open road, the ride tells another story. Every gust of wind pushes against your chest. Every extra pound makes a difference when maneuvering through parking lots or loading onto trailers. The bike's minimal design may look menacing, but it punishes more than it pleases on long rides. For many, the romance of the Road King fades the moment reality kicks in. This motorcycle remains a work of craftsmanship, no doubt about it. The chrome gleams, the lines are bold, and that Milwaukee 8 engine still roars with dignity. Yet it feels caught between 2 worlds, too traditional for the next generation, too tiring for the last. In the end, the Road King Special serves as a reminder that prestige without purpose is just weight in motion. Power output reaches roughly 95 horsepower from an engine measuring 1,868 cubic centimeters. Torque peaks near 122-160 pound-feet. Braking is handled by dual front discs and a single rear disc with a full anti-lock braking system. The suspension features Showa dual bending valve forks and hand-adjustable rear shocks. Wet weight is about 807 pounds, running order 781 pounds, seat height 26.4 inches, and the starting price sits around $24,999. The next bike on this list shows how chasing attitude over usability can turn muscle into a burden. Number 6, Harley-Davidson, Breakout 117. Some motorcycles are born to turn heads, and the Breakout was one of them. Its stretched frame, long chrome pipes, and bold stance looked like the embodiment of pure American muscle. But as time moved forward, style alone became a heavy load to carry. In 2025, the Breakout 117 still looks fierce, yet it rides like a reminder that looks cannot save a bike from fatigue. The Breakout once dominated showroom floors with its attitude. That massive 240mm rear tire demanded attention, and its long, low silhouette promised a mixture of aggression and elegance. Riders called it a rolling statement, a dragster built for the streets. But when the ignition switches on, the truth surfaces fast. The wide tire that looked so powerful in pictures turns tight corners into wrestling matches. Steering feels like pushing against a tide, and that sense of balance, so vital to a cruiser, becomes a test of endurance. Its strength lies in straight lines, where the torque delivers that unmistakable Harley surge. On open highways, it pulls clean and smooth, roaring with that deep Milwaukee rumble. Yet the moment the road starts to curve or the pavement roughens, the Breakout's limitations show. The suspension, designed more for appearance than adaptability, transfers every crack and bump through the rider's spine. Comfort fades quickly, and so does the illusion of effortless cruising. In a world where modern cruisers mix performance with precision, the Breakout stands apart, but not always in a good way. Competing bikes from Indian and Triumph offer lighter frames, better cornering, and refined ergonomics, all at similar price points. Harley's attempt to capture raw street appeal left this one behind. It has the muscle, but not the manners. The ride feels like a throwback to a time when visual impact outweighed practicality. For many veteran riders, that trade no longer feels worth the effort. The Breakout 117 remains a stunning machine when parked, drawing crowds with its sculpted tank and polished chrome. But the magic fades once the wheels roll. The same design that fuels admiration on the lot becomes frustration on the asphalt. Real riders want command, not compromise. The Breakout proves that a motorcycle built purely for show can lose its soul in motion. Under its long and low frame lies a 1,923 cubic centimeter power plant, producing 103 horsepower and 126 pound-feet of torque. It stops through dual, single-4, piston-fixed front discs and single rear discs, backed by a complete anti-lock braking system. Suspension uses Showa dual bending valve forks up front and hidden coil-over shocks in the rear. Wet weight stands at 681 pounds, seat height 25.6 inches laden, and pricing begins near $23,999. The next bike on this list reveals what happens when stripped-down design goes too far, when minimalism turns a Harley into a bare-frame chasing identity. If you value straight talk and real numbers, not marketing spin hit, that like button and subscribe to stay in the loop. Share your thoughts below on how Harley's direction feels to riders who've lived the miles, not just read the brochures. Number 5. Harley-Davidson Softail Standard. Some motorcycles sell a dream, others sell potential. The Softail Standard promises both, but too often delivers neither. It arrives in showrooms stripped down to the bone minimal paint, minimal chrome, and minimal personality. The idea is simple: a clean slate for customization. Yet for many riders, especially seasoned ones who value ride-ready dependability, it feels less like freedom and more like unfinished business. When Harley reintroduced this minimalist design, it was meant to capture the soul of the garage-built custom era. Back in the days of raw metal and backyard wrenches, a stripped bike was a badge of honor. But times have changed. Riders who once built their bikes from the ground up now want machines that feel complete the moment they roll off the stand. The Softail Standard tries to relive that past, yet in 2025, it ends up highlighting how far the modern rider's expectations have moved forward. In motion, the Softail remains mechanically honest. The frame is solid, and the 107 Milwaukee 8 engine still delivers that heavy thump that only Harley can create. The torque is there, and the rhythm under throttle still makes the chest vibrate with pride. But the ride lacks character. The seating position is plain, the bars too narrow for long hauls, and the stripped-back setup becomes tiring after an hour on the road. It rides fine, but it feels hollow-like, a song missing its chorus. For those who see motorcycles as canvases, the Softail offers space to create. You can add chrome, upgrade the pipes, or build a custom paint scheme that turns heads. Yet, by the time those parts are added, the price climbs fast. What started as an affordable entry point becomes a mid-tier build costing as much as a low rider or Fat Bob, both of which come fully finished and ready for miles. That realization hits hard for riders who expected value, but find themselves paying for what should have been included. Still, there is something admirable about its simplicity. It does not pretend to be anything it is not. It is a skeleton built for dreamers, clean lines, classic geometry, no distractions. But it no longer speaks to the generation that wants comfort with their legacy. The Softail Standard is a reminder that bare metal alone does not make a Harley. A true Harley carries weight, story, and presence. Beneath the stripped-down body sits the Milwaukee 8 107 engine, delivering roughly 87 horsepower from 1,746 cubic centimeters and pushing 110 pound-feet of torque. Brakes consist of a 4-piston front and 2-piston rear. Suspension includes a cartridge-style fork and a hidden coil-over monoshock. Wet weight totals 655 pounds. Seat height 26.8 inches. And the starting price is $14,999. The next bike on this list shows what happens when practicality fades behind compromise. A machine caught between purpose and performance, where the middle ground offers nothing to either side. While we break down the next model, grab the gear that keeps real riders rolling. Everything's in the description. Number 4. Harley-Davidson Iron 883. For decades, the Iron carried the torch as Harley's gateway to the Brotherhood. It was the bike that got first-timers through the door and seasoned riders back into the saddle when life slowed down. Compact, gritty, and simple. It felt like a time capsule from when bikes were raw metal and muscle. But in 2025, that chapter has quietly closed. The Iron 883 is no longer part of Harley's current lineup in the United States retired, with barely a whisper after years of loyal service. On paper, nothing looked out of place. It was still that small, tough, urban bobber. Harley built its legend around no frills, no distractions, and no apologies. The steel tank gleamed under sunlight. The narrow stance still whispered rebellion, and that familiar pulse of the Evolution V-twin reminded riders of simpler days. Yet toward the end, time caught up with it. Emissions standards tightened, comfort demands grew, and younger buyers wanted features the Iron never had. What once felt timeless began to feel frozen in time. Modern riders expect comfort, refinement, and at least a touch of technology, even in the most basic machines. The Iron stayed stubbornly behind. The suspension punished more than it supported. The seat cramped taller riders, and the analog dash gave little more than speed and fuel. Harley called it old-school authenticity. Riders began calling it outdated. Nostalgia kept it alive longer than expected, but every mile reminded owners that charm doesn't cushion the bumps. Then came the value question. At over $11,000, the Iron was no longer the affordable entry point it used to be. Competing mid-sized cruisers and even performance-oriented models offered more horsepower, better comfort, and modern electronics for similar money. The Iron looked vintage, but demanded modern prices, a combination that even loyalists found hard to justify. For many, it felt like paying top dollar for a museum piece. Still, its role in Harley's history can't be erased. The Iron was the bridge between rebellion and refinement, the model that kept showrooms alive during lean years and helped younger riders find their first taste of Harley Torque. Every thump of that air-cooled engine echoed the roots of American motorcycling. Simple, stubborn, and full of attitude. But sentiment could not save it from the inevitable. Today, the Iron 883 stands not as a choice, but as a legacy. It's a reminder of what made Harley famous and what time eventually leaves behind. Its simplicity earns respect, but its limits became too clear to ignore. The Iron didn't fade because it failed. It faded because the world moved on. Its air-cooled Evolution engine produces about 54 horsepower from 883 cubic centimeters and 54 pound-feet of torque. The braking setup uses a single front disc and a single rear disc, all supported by a full anti-lock braking system. Suspension combines traditional telescopic forks with twin rear shocks. Wet weight measures 564 pounds, seat height 25.7 inches laden, and the model opens at $11,999. The next bike on this list shows what happens when ambition collides with confusion, a machine that tried to do everything and ended up satisfying no one. If you've made it this far, you know why these stories matter. Subscribe now and ride with us as we keep exposing the truth behind the machines, the markets, and the legacy brands that once ruled the open road. Number 3. Harley-Davidson Pan America. Every so often, a motorcycle arrives that changes how riders see a brand. The Pan America was supposed to be that kind of revolution. It was Harley's first leap into the adventure world, a chance to prove the company could build something more than chrome and comfort. But what was meant to redefine the brand became an experiment that split the faithful in half. In 2025, the Pan America Standard stands as a reminder that even bold ideas can betray the very identity that made Harley matter. At first glance, the Pan America looks nothing like any other Harley. Its tall frame, upright posture, and angular design scream adventure rather than boulevard cruising. For some, that was exciting, a chance to see Harley shed its old skin. But for many longtime riders, it looked like a stranger wearing a familiar badge. The company that once built its name on low, loud, and heavy was suddenly chasing a market led by BMW, KTM, and Triumph. The shift felt less like evolution and more like desperation. In fairness, the numbers deliver. The Revolution Max engine is powerful, responsive, and far smoother than most expected. On paper, it can hang with the European heavyweights. But out on the trails, the difference becomes clear. Where competitors feel natural and balanced, the Pan America often feels top-heavy, awkward at slow speeds, and uncertain in rough conditions. The heart of a Harley beats inside it, but the soul never quite found its footing. Riders who trusted this experiment discovered a second problem: reliability and service. The Pan America introduced advanced electronics and sensors that most dealerships were not prepared to handle. When issues arose, glitchy screens, overheating, electronic suspension faults, service delays followed. Parts were expensive, and techs trained for cruisers struggled to diagnose adventure systems. For a rider used to fixing things with a wrench and patience, that felt like a betrayal of the brand's mechanical honesty. Visually, it also misses the emotional mark. Where traditional Harleys radiate warmth and heritage, the Pan America looks more corporate than crafted. It is capable, yes, but characterless. Riders can admire its technology without ever feeling attached to it. The experiment proved Harley could engineer an adventure bike, but not that it could build one riders would fall in love with. The Pan America Standard may have expanded Harley's portfolio, but it also diluted its story. The company wanted to conquer new ground, and instead alienated part of its base. It stands as a bold but cautionary tale, a reminder that innovation without identity can leave even the strongest legacy lost in the dust. Power comes from the Revolution Max engine, generating 150 horsepower out of 1,250 cubic centimeters, with 94 pound-feet of torque. Braking is handled by dual floating front discs and a single rear disc under a full anti-lock braking system. A semi-active Showa suspension system supports both ends. Wet weight registers 562 pounds, seat height 31.1 inches, and the base price begins at $17,699. The next bike on this list exposes a different kind of misstep, where Harley reached for the future and ended up silencing its own past. Number 2, Harley-Davidson Fat Boy 114. There was a time when the Fat Boy was the undisputed symbol of American muscle on two wheels. Its name alone carried weight, literally and figuratively. It appeared in movies, graced posters, and ruled Main Street from coast to coast. But in 2025, the very design that once made it a legend has turned into its greatest flaw, the Fat Boy. 114 still looks powerful, but the ride reveals how far style can drift from practicality. The Fat Boy remains one of the most recognizable silhouettes in motorcycling: solid disc wheels, thick forks, and a stance that looks carved from metal. It is a rolling piece of sculpture, but beauty comes with consequences. Those solid wheels that look so bold on the showroom floor create drag on the open road and make the ride feel harsh. Crosswinds push against them like sails, and in corners, they rob confidence. For riders who remember when the Fat Boy felt like a throne of torque, that realization hits hard. Then comes the weight. At nearly 700 pounds, the bike demands muscle just to move it around a driveway. Once rolling, the engine pulls strong, but the effort never quite disappears. For shorter riders, the wide frame and heavy steering can turn city rides into upper body workouts. The 114 engine is smooth and eager, yet the chassis never feels like it can fully use that power. On paper, the numbers impress. In practice, the Fat Boy feels like a heavyweight boxer, long past his prime, still powerful, but slower to react. Comfort tells a similar story. The low seat and forward controls look cool, but limit legroom. The suspension's travel is short, punishing every crack in the pavement. Riders once bought the Fat Boy for its aggressive stance, but on long hauls, that same stance becomes a burden. Even wind protection is minimal, forcing many owners to add aftermarket shields or saddlebags just to make it livable for real miles. The real issue, however, is identity. The Fat Boy used to stand for rebellion, a machine that mixed muscle and menace in perfect proportion. Today, it feels stuck between two worlds too heavy to be agile, too plain to be luxurious. Competing models from Indian and Triumph deliver equal presence with sharper performance, while even Harley's own Lowrider and Breakout offer more engaging rides for less money. Power comes from the Milwaukee 8 114 engine, producing 94 horsepower from 1,868 cubic centimeters and delivering 119 pound-feet of torque. The braking system uses dual front discs and a single rear disc with a complete anti-lock braking system. Suspension consists of Showa dual bending valve, front forks, and a hidden coilover rear shock. Wet weight measures 694 pounds. Seat height sits at 25.9 inches. Starting price stands at $21,999. Fat Boy 114 isn't a bad motorcycle. It's a victim of its own legend. It still draws attention everywhere it goes, but its glory now lies in the past. The thunder remains, but the thrill has faded. The next bike on this list proves that even the crown of luxury can weigh a rider down more than the open road ever could. Number 1. Harley-Davidson CVO Road Glide. For years, the CVO Road Glide has been the symbol of ultimate Harley craftsmanship, an unmistakable presence on the highway, and the dream bike for anyone who believed luxury and muscle could coexist on two wheels. It was meant to represent the best of American touring, smooth, powerful, and dripping with detail. But somewhere along the line, that dream started to drag. What was once the pinnacle of pride is now weighed down by its own excess. Beneath the sculpted fairing lies the Milwaukee 8 121 engine, producing 115 horsepower from 1,983 cubic centimeters and delivering 139 pound-feet of torque. The braking system features dual front rotors and a single rear disc under a complete anti-lock braking system. Suspension comes from fully adjustable Showa dual bending valve front forks and premium rear shocks. Wet weight reaches 926 pounds, seat height measures 28.9 inches, and the starting price stands at $42,999. The first twist of the throttle tells the story. The new 121 engine is the strongest factory Harley has ever built, but its refinement hides the grit old riders crave. It's fast, it's smooth, and yet it feels detached. The Road Glide's thunder has turned into a hum, its soul filtered through technology and silence. Even the vibration, once part of the heartbeat, is now engineered out. To some, that's progress. To others, it's proof Harley traded feeling for polish. Visually, it's flawless hand-laid paint, new LED lighting, and the updated Skyline operating system with its massive touchscreen display. But those luxuries add weight, both literally and emotionally. At over 900 pounds, the bike is a beast to handle in parking lots and slow corners. Riders who once praised its balance now feel its bulk. And the electronic layers, traction modes, infotainment menus, adaptive lights make it feel more like piloting a touring sedan than commanding a raw machine. Then there's the price. At over $42,000, it sits far beyond what most real-world riders can justify. That's not a motorcycle for the working man, it's a trophy. And trophies don't ride, they collect dust. The same community that built Harley's legend, the long-haul touring faithful, is starting to look elsewhere, to simpler machines that still feel alive beneath them. The tragedy of the CVO Road Glide isn't failure, it's perfection. Harley built the best version of its vision, but in doing so, stripped away the imperfections that made riding human. The chrome still blinds under sunlight, the speakers still roar, and the seat still swallows miles in comfort. But for riders who remember when Harley meant heart over software, that comfort feels cold. Because a motorcycle, this powerful, shouldn't make you feel distant from the road. It should make you feel part of it. The CVO Road Glide remains a masterpiece of engineering. But to the riders who lived through Harley's golden era, it's a reminder that perfection isn't always freedom. It's the price you pay when the soul gets quiet. Harley-Davidson's story was never about perfection. It was about pride, freedom, and the open road. But somewhere along the line, the message got lost behind marketing and mistakes. These 7 models are just symptoms of something deeper. A company forgetting the riders who built it. The good news? The truth's still louder than the noise, and riders like you keep it alive. If you believe the real Harley spirit still matters, hit that like button, drop a comment with what you ride, and subscribe for more straight talk from the shop floor.